Well, hey there, folks. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Rudd's Room. I know it's been a while. I've been on hiatus. Kristopher Bilbrey, if you've been watching the lives, has made a point to take note that I have not done a video in a while, and that was a good point. So what I've done is I've come up with an idea for a new series I'm going to kind of do called the Rudd's Room Rants. These are going to just be various topics. Typically, you'll notice the theme in the titles. It'll be one word. Today's is taxes, due to the fact that today happens to be tax day, and I just filed my taxes last weekend. So that is fresh in my mind and a good topic for a rant. But so I will pick a topic like this. We'll kind of maybe talk about maybe some history on it, my thoughts on it, and possibly some current news stories. For this particular story, I do have a news story, but before we get into that, let's kind of get started with a quote here from founding father Benjamin Franklin. Our new Constitution is now established and has an appearance that promises permanency. But in this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. That's pretty accurate. There's no real way to get out of paying your taxes. We've had criminal masterminds that thought they were going to get away with murder, and they did, but they didn't pay their taxes and they were caught. You don't really have an option. You get the privilege every year of filing your own taxes, whether that be through an accountant or yourself through an online system or whatever you're going to use, having to pay various fees, and sometimes finding out through that how much more money you get to send to the government in the form of a check or be arrested, basically. I mean, you don't get out of paying taxes. You're going to pay them one way or another. Unless you didn't make enough money to pay taxes, you're going to end up paying something. So sucks. Happens every year around this time. Tax day was going to be, I think it was Sunday this year or Saturday. It was on the weekend or day that the government buildings were closed. So it got pushed back to April 18th. So today is tax day. And funny enough, we've got a fun story today. This is for the state of Indiana. As many of you who live in Indiana know, our gas taxes are particularly high here. We're like number 7 in the country. Our gas taxes are pretty crazy. Where I live, I'm pretty much on the border of Ohio. If I drive over the border, I can save quite a bit of money by buying gas over there just because their taxes are much lower than ours. Traveling last summer, I found that going down south, I think I was saving $1 a gallon or something like that on gasoline, just because the gasoline itself is cheaper and the taxes were lower. So that's pretty nice. It kind of started coming to a head last year when gas prices started getting crazy high again. Hoosiers were not pleased with it and started writing and complaining to their legislators, state legislators. They said they were going to take action on this. They were going to have a special session and cover 2 topics. They wanted to cover abortion and taxes, or gas taxes, sorry. But they ended up putting it off because we had the Roe versus Wade decision coming through the Supreme Court. So that whole thing got put off. By the time they finally decided to address the gas tax, the prices had kind of gone down again. So I think they kind of wrote it off as there was no need to do anything about it. So they never lowered our gas taxes. So that kind of blows. And, with the change in the seasons and the market and everything, the prices fluctuate. They quickly went back up. They jumped around, back down. But today we got some news from the Indiana State House, which is rant-worthy. So I'm going to go ahead and open this article from Fox 59 News and kind of go through this with you. So Indiana Senate amendment would extend annual 1-cent gas tax increase. So what does that mean? So we currently have a bill in place or a law in place. I'll go ahead and read this. I believe this covers it. But we essentially have a bill in place that said the gas taxes would increase by a penny every year up until 2024. So, Indiana lawmakers may extend the annual 1 cent increase to state gas tax. In 2017, Indiana passed a law allowing for gas tax increase of up to 1 cent per year from 2018 to 2024. But now, an amendment added to House Bill 1050 last week would allow that increase to happen another year in 2025. Currently, Indiana state gas taxes total 52 cents per gallon. That includes sales tax determined by the average price of gas in the Hoosier state. The rate changes each month. So, for those of you who are in Indiana, you probably know. If you're not from Indiana, you probably don't know. But our state is run by a super duper majority Republican legislature. The House is overwhelmingly Republican. The Senate is overwhelmingly Republican. The Republican Party has been telling us forever about how they're the party of personal responsibility, of small government, of lower taxes. But again, as I said, we are one of the highest gas taxes in the country. And this is going to talk about how we're increasing yet again. We'll kind of probably see that go up. Typically between now and, say, peak summer prices, they tend to rise about 5%. Explained Kyle Anderson, an economist of the IU Kelley School of Business, in regard to gas taxes. Aside from the sales tax, Indiana's gas excise tax is 33 cents per gallon. Under current Indiana law, that tax has gone up by as much as a penny each year since 2018. The final increase will go into effect on July 1st, 2024. So that's when we would see our final gas tax increase based on this bill from 2017. However, the amendment recently approved on the Senate floor allows an increase to happen another year in 2025. State data shows the annual 1 cent increase generates about $30 million in revenue. Well, now you're probably asking yourself, how are these Democrats going to increase our gas taxes if we're in a Republican super duper majority? Oh, here we go. State Senator Michael Crider, Republican Greenfield, introduced the amendment. In a message late Tuesday afternoon, Crider said it's meant to close a gap before the next state budget and gives lawmakers more time to assess road funding needs. Crider points out the budget bill creates a road funding task force to focus on the issue and consider the impact of fees from alternate fuel vehicles, which is part of the focus of House Bill 1050. So, instead of finding a way to tax alternative fuel vehicles, which aren't paying for gasoline, they're going to put a higher tax again onto people driving gas vehicles. Who's driving gas vehicles? Typically lower middle class people who can't afford an alternative fuel vehicle. They're not particularly cheap. So great. That's just great. The task force will examine our road funding needs, factoring in the impact alternative fuel vehicles would have on our road funding formula, and it takes us to the next budget cycle. Cool. The bill's House author, State Rep Jim Pressel, Republican, Rolling Prairie, said he's not sure if that language will stay in the legislation. He said he believes the current gas tax system is working well, he added. How the indexing portion works and the way sales tax and excise tax are working, we're really keeping pace with where we're at inflation-wise. So it sounds like Pressel isn't necessarily on board with this further gas tax increase. Let's hope that stays that way and we have more people pushing back against it. Meanwhile, State Representative Greg Porter, Democrat in Indianapolis, said he's not on board with extending the annual increase. We're sitting around a $4 billion surplus right now, Porter said. So that's $4 billion of taxpayer money that's not going back to the citizens. It's not being used to benefit us with any kinds of programs to just fix our roads right now, because anyone who's driven through or regularly drives in Indiana knows our roads aren't great. I mean, they're hot garbage, which is kind of surprising lately because at least in East Central Indiana, we've had some pretty mild weather and winters as of late, where we're not seeing a lot of plow trucks tearing up the roads, salt, et cetera, et cetera. So why our roads are so garbage and we have $4 billion in surplus, I have no idea. Porter has been critical of the gas tax and argues it needs overall reform. I don't understand why we want to continue to pile on Hoosiers by saddling them with more taxes, Porter said. I don't care that it's only 1 penny. Are we sure this guy isn't a Republican? This is ridiculous. This is what the Republicans should be saying instead of introducing further gas taxes on to the citizens who just a year ago were almost begging our legislators to please just give us a freaking tax break. It's absurd. The bill now goes into conference committee process. Lawmakers from both the House and Senate will meet to negotiate a final version of the bill that would then go to both chambers for approval. Oh boy. So we've got our Republicans again. After refusing to cut our gas taxes and help out working Hoosiers, we've got a proposal for more gas taxes. While the Democrats are saying, I don't care that it's only 1 penny. I do not support this. What does he say? I don't understand why we want to continue to pile on Hoosiers by saddling with more taxes. I don't care that it's a single penny. That's crazy to me. We should see lower taxes at every opportunity we can get if we're saying that we're Republicans. And it's just mind-blowing. I'm speechless by it. I just saw this before I started recording, thus why it's the topic of the rant. But we've seen this a bit with our Republican legislators. They tend to legislate tax breaks where it benefits them personally, and spending where it benefits them personally, while not proposing tax breaks where it could help other special interest groups. This is something I've railed on in the past about Representative J.D. Prescott, who said that he wouldn't create special classes and reduce taxes for special classes like disabled veterans, which is why he voted against 2019 Senate Bill 280, which would have done a property tax cap for disabled veterans, help them stay in their homes, benefit them with a tax break. But in the meantime, voted for a very similar tax break for farmers, and has again co-authored this year a plan to make farm equipment non-taxable, basically give a big tax break to farmers again. I don't know if you know anything about J.D. Prescott other than being anti-freedom and anti-constitution. He was raised on a farm. His family are huge, very wealthy farmers. So these tax breaks benefit him specifically. And as a Republican, he should be promoting all tax breaks, but instead just promotes tax breaks that benefit him and his family personally. So that's kind of my rant for today. Very frustrating. If you don't approve of this tax increase, I recommend you call your representative, your senator, and let them know that this is absurd, because it's absurd. If you don't know how or don't know who your representative is, you can go to, let me go ahead and post this up here to help you out. You can go to iga.n.gov and let me see. And I can go ahead and share that with you and show you where to find it, I think. Let's do, before I do that, let's go to the new version. Okay, so go to Indiana or ij.n.gov. Here we go. Get that out of the way. And you can go to, let me see. You can search here. Where is our, oh, sorry. Go right here, find your legislator. Make this more difficult than it needs to be. You just put in your address here, click search. It will tell you which district you're in, who your legislators are. It goes all the way from your local representative and senator up to your congressman, all those positions, so let you know. But for this particular legislation, you're going to want to talk to your state state representative and your state senator, and let them know that give us a freaking break. We've paid enough tax. We just went through tax day. We don't need another gas tax increase. So that's it for this rant. If you haven't, like I said, if you have any suggestions for other topics you'd like me to talk about, hopefully I'll come up with some, kind of get used to the format for these videos, and talk about some other topics that hopefully people find interesting. Other than that, have a great week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Rudd's Room. If you haven't done so yet, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified of new episodes. If you'd like to see additional content featuring Brandon Rudd, please tune in every Thursday for the live show, The Bastards of Politics, which features Kristopher H. Bilbrey, Joshua Civic Duty Kimbrell, and myself. You can also check out the audio-only version of the episodes at thebastards.fireside.fm and anywhere podcasts can be found. Thanks again, and have a great day.